actually what way you work. For example, if the CV doesn't have a nice design, it's not simple, it shows clearly that you're a messy person, and you probably won't end up getting the job. But probably you're thinking, if I don't have experience, what do I write in that CV? Well, this is the tricky part, because as you know, in the CV you can also write, you have to write volunteering experience. Yeah, so you need to gather information about your educational background, and any other soft skills that you have, foreign languages, and so on. Even if you haven't had your first job that pays you a paycheck, you can write about volunteering, babysitting, and delivering papers and similar types of experience. And they can work when you haven't had anything before. As a teenager, looking for your first job can be tricky, but it is not impossible. And there are a couple of steps that you can follow in order to have a successful application and a successful interview, and we are going to talk about that today.
Okay, let's start having a look where we can find a job. We have so many places. The first is social media. We can find a job in the profile of Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn of the different companies. Another option is recruitment agencies. That there are some companies that they are specialized in finding a job for people. University career programs is very interesting. We can find some internships that our university can help us to find. We have also sector-specific website. It means, for example, if you are a nurse, you can find some work for news in the websites.
What is this? I don't know.
Website specific.
Okay.
In the newspaper, that is so vintage, but you can find any advertisement.
Oh.
In our employability service of our country is very common. In career fairs or open days. In professional association like lawyers or doctor. In networking is also very important. Or if you don't find a job, you can always self-employment. And I have some tips about this. For example, you have to stay motivated, because sometimes if you are on job searching, you can feel like disappointed or frustrated, but you have to learn from your mistakes, and you need to ask from feedback. Also, network is very important, because you need to have a very good relationship with your friends, your family, your teacher. Is very important, because someone can give you a recommendation to an employer. Target your job application. It's very important that you personalize your CV from the company and the values. Sign up for the job alerts. You need to use it on the website, and volunteering is so important if you don't have some experience, professional experience.
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
This is an example of a CV. I am going to talk about the keys to make a good CV if you have not experience. Okay. The first thing is to adapt our CV to the job offer, to which it is going to be sent. You have to do a little research about the company, values, what you are looking for, and other things. think about what you can contribute to that the company and to what extent you identify with them. It's very, very important to know yourself, put your strengths, skill, and say that you can contribute in the company. Depending on the contract, depending on the country, you should put a photo on and your birthday, depending on the country. It's important to put your education experience, for example, internship, volunteering, personal projects. The tips for a good CV or advice. First, your CV should be summarized on one side only, like this. Design your CV. You have to be very visual and clear. Don't put irrelevant information. The introduction is the most important. Sell yourself. Boost your skill and your values.
So basically, after all the theory that was quite like a lot to take in, we would like to start with an activity like to interact you guys. And I know that you surely know some things about CV, because if you don't have one, you're probably gonna make one, or I'm sure that you probably all have one CV, or you try to complete one. We've got some CVs for you guys, so we would like to you to make notes and basically correct the part that you think that are not so good, and the part that are good for you. For example, to look at a format of CV. After that, for example, look at the specific information in that specific CV, and we will give you for that a short amount of time, like about 5 minutes, and if you need more, we can give you more. And after that, we'd like to discuss and give you some advices and
Pensate, ma ancora che ci sono sti lavori, guarda, caffè, dai.
And he knows how to work in PowerPoint.
Well, you have to say that you use it's kind of important. You should have said all.
He can just report Excel.
That's a very interesting observation. And yes, I wanted to ask you how it's in your country, because so Darius, how is it in Romania, for example? If you're saying that in Romania it requires a picture.
Yeah, it's a standard format, so you can go online and complete the CV, and you also have a chance to add a picture there.
that was the thing that we also wanted to talk about, because every country has different requirements for a CV, so you should know in which country you're applying for a job. So basically, in some countries, it's not appropriate to put a picture. If it's an official, like professional position, like high position, it's not appropriate to put their picture, because it can affect the recruitment team to choose your CV according to. It doesn't have to be like they want the picture to affect them. It can happen. So some position they don't require the picture because of it can affect them, and it's not.
It's because of discriminatory reasons. Because, for example, if you have a woman that is more beautiful than another woman, some employees would consider maybe the more beautiful woman for that position, instead of just taking into consideration the skills and experience of the candidate. So, for example, in UK, or for example, I have friends from Colombia, and they told me they also don't put pictures on CVs. Because of discriminatory reasons.
That's a good point. That's a good point. So therefore, you should make sure that you put your birthday and basically your age into your CV.
Especially because some positions require a specific age and not too young for it. Or yes.
Isn't it also discrimination?
Yeah.
About the age.
Yeah.
It depends because, like, in my opinion, at least, if I was choosing like a candidate from a bunch of candidates, I would also some firms. It's not really ethically right to choose according to age, but some I know from my experiences, some companies they prefer to have, for example, older like manager or stuff like that.
Like for example, they require in the position you must have at least 2-3 years of experience in this field.
Oh, that's experience, not age.
Yeah,
Yes,
but also,
of
but
course.
I think that experience is somehow connected with age, because if you're, for example, 18 years old,
Yeah.
obviously you're not going to have enough experience to become a manager in a company.
But then it's your responsibility to not apply for this position.
Yeah, sure, but some people they may just try, and that can help like the recruitment team to decide and to maybe divide the CVs into two parts.
I'm not sure, but I think that in some countries it's even not like it's prohibited to ask for the age or ask for the
It
person
may be, it's the
especially.
same with religion, whether you're married or single,
Yeah.
whether you have kids, but from the things that I've heard, it's also, you shouldn't ask, for example, woman, whether she's planning to have children, but most of the companies, they do that. They ask, are you planning to have children, according to the fact that they may like consider it not to be good for the company, because they're gonna have a woman who's gonna work there for 2 years, basically she's gonna get experience, and after that she's gonna leave for 2 another years. It's not good, I don't agree with that, but from the things I've heard and from my experiences, it's a thing that's happening.
It's happening a lot.
I think this is a question that you don't need answering.
Yeah, of course.
It's a question what you can ignore.
Yeah,
exactly. Yes.
It's not your...
Yeah.
No, so rude. But yeah, I think...
Yeah,
That's a very good point.
Because it's really a discrimination question.
it
It's
is.
the same like... I don't know.
Yeah, sure, but you can face these problems.
It's not really discrimination, because if they need someone who will...
Attention more on stuff.
I would also like to ask about the sentences, the form of the sentences, like these long sentences, a lot of text. How does it seem to you?
It's also true that the whole text is centered,
Yeah.
Yes,
and it should be on
Yeah.
But the thing is, it should be in professional design.
Yeah. It can say a lot about you, the form of your CV, like the visual form. If it's messy like that, in my opinion, it would not be good to give.
Because if you have the company then gets the impression that you're also a messy person, and especially if it's a position that requires you to be analytical and to manage multiple tasks at the same time, and be very careful about tasks, then probably it won't leave such a good impression on the employee.
Also,
Also,
true that
yeah,
he wants to be a graphic designer and become a designer.
Exactly. Yeah.
The position is very important. That you're applying for.
What about the order of the categories, let's say like that? What do you think about that?
Composition, or establish general information, education, work experience,
So, what would you change? Would you, for example, please?
I think the software knowledge should be after the work experience.
Yes.
And for I think the first should be the objective, the job position is applying for. But the software knowledge should be at the end of the CV.
And why do you think it should be?
Because I think it's important to have the education, the work experience, and after that extra, let's say, work for the CV.
It can help you like a lot, the soft skills, the hobbies, and the things you do outside of work and school. But it can put it all together, but it's not appropriate to put it first.
They're not the most relevant in the first place when he reads the CV of a person. Yes?
Given that he's like a graphic designer, I think skills and qualifications should be very high in the first place, because the first seconds are very important if, and will determine if you will keep reading a CV. So software knowledge, skills should be high, because degrees are not so important maybe in this area. But I don't understand why in education there is hardware experience. This also should be somewhat high.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Any other?
He's applying for what type of job?
Design.
So is his department?
Sorry.
He's the assistant manager in his department? I don't think it's relevant.
That's the thing. Relevant information, you shouldn't put that. It's very nice also that you like, I don't know, gardening, but if you're applying for a position of graphic designer, I think it's not appropriate to put that.
Con facilitators, like the telephone number,
Το τηλέφωνο
Yeah, there was a difference.
Important things, like one of the first things that should be
There
written
is
on the CV.
There is phone number.
It is not clear.
Is it necessary to put your house address?
Yeah, exactly. Like, why? They're not gonna send you a letter that please come to an interview and just.
I think that it is like 10 years old CV, but nowadays, especially if your work has to do with something visual or something creative, you should at least have like a blog or Pinterest or Instagram or a website. Yeah, portfolio and a link. So that.
Yeah. Well, you're
We have a graphic designer among us.
Normally in the creative agencies, you send your portfolio in the same email with your CV, or you can link in your LinkedIn, for example. It's a good idea.
And also, like nowadays, we have so many websites that can help you to build a nice, very clean CV. You just put information and it's gonna like generate you a CV according to the information that you put into the form.
And more time and effort in creating the CV.
You can really use it as your advantage if you know how to do it properly. But if you're not sure, I wouldn't do it by myself.
Yes, of course.
For my time, your CV, there are many programs. For example, Canvas is useful for this, and others that you can find in internet. Canvas for me is the best.
You can do also like marketing stuff on there, like flyers, and it can help you with a lot of stuff, not only with CV. It's very useful.
For me, I prefer Illustrator or Photoshop, but this is only if you have a maximum level in design.
Any other terminology? And there's one thing I would like to talk about, it's lies in CVs. What do you think about that? There are a lot of blogs about that, why you should put it there, why you shouldn't, what are the dangers that you can after face. So if you have some opinions on that, would be great. Yeah.
For in the graphic designer, let's say example, I will say that I'm really good at Photoshop and Illustrator, and I got the job. I'm really happy, but then I have to use Photoshop and Illustrator, and I don't know how.
No, for example, there is other programs easier. Canvas, do you know?
Yes.
This is an example. There are in internet you can find many plantillas.
Tutorials.
Okay.
I think PDF is better, of course, because nobody can use it for...
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
What about the Greek team?
What about the Greek team? We mainly focused on the behavior of the people who send their CVs. We said that it is not mandatory or it is not prohibited to add a photo or something. But from our experience, because we receive CVs from young people, they don't know how to send a CV. Like we say Europass and in English, they send non-Europass in Greek or in capitals, or they don't know how to send a proper email. Like the first impression is not good because they don't know how to write a subject. Not all of them, but a lot of young people, yeah. And another thing is that in Greece there is not a distinction between resume and CV. So usually people send like 4 or 5 pages if they have things to say. Okay, if you are young, maybe you don't have, but or they put irrelevant things like you remember this dishwasher. Yeah, he applied for EVS and he just wrote that he worked in a cafe washing the dishes and things like that. I mean, we don't have a way to train young people how to write a proper CV.
For us it's important to put a picture and the age and the city of residence and the typology of your studies, like a degree or just a diploma, and if you have the license and if you have a private car, and how many languages do you know, and also if you have experience, work experience or about volunteering experience. And
we usually prefer the Europass.
Yes. Domicilio.
If you want to say where you live, you have to say where your residence is and what your the place you're living in, because it depends on places. Because in some places it's very easy to change your residence, but in Italy it's a very big bureaucratic problem and it might take a year, so it's completely useless.
We can add a cover letter or no. Also the links and electronic or email are important, and another the clarity and attractiveness are also important.
Yes, the picture is very important, and the information should be very ordered, and the information should be very, very clear. And only in a page, one page.
Thank you. Also, another thing that you have taken into consideration, apart from the CV, is how you send it and what you write in the email. Most of the times people just send a CV without explaining what is this document for, or just a few words.
So, by this activity we wanted to show that you need to keep in mind that the country you're applying for a job, because you don't have to apply for a job in your own country, but you need to keep in mind that there may be some like other requirements. Yeah, so hello, thank you for taking the time to come here, but you know, you're unemployed, so probably it wasn't a problem for you to come here.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I have a DVR, so I'm really not missing anything important. Although this is quite early for me. I usually wake up at noon, 12:30.
Oh, excellent. So why are you interested in the job?
I'm not. I just need a job.
Okay, just so you know, we will be taking advantage of you and we will pay you bare minimum.
And just so you know, I will do the bare minimum.
Okay, but our expectations are going to be, let's say, reasonably high, and like if you could be as much as like a high-speed robot as possible, that would be really great.
Yeah, I'm not interested in any of that. I'm pretty much looking for a job where I don't have to think much or move much, so I can have the energy to do what I really like.
So why don't you get a job in a field that you really like?
I'm trying, but in the interim I need a job that will barely cover my cost of living. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I think so. I was once like you know, had dreams, but I gave up on them. I gave up on all of my dreams, and that's why I'm here.
I thought that might be the case. I mean, I assumed it was. I guess that you used to be full of life, but after years in this place, you had every last bit of hope drained from your body.
Yes, that's exactly what happened. And now what I do is I take that hope out of young people that I hire, you know, like people like you, that basically I harvest it. It's like, are you familiar how vampires work?
Sure, I'm from Transylvania.
Oh, great! I didn't know that. So, it's like a vampire, you know, a hope vampire. And when you live here every day, you become completely devoid of any hope or happiness.
So you're like a dementor, really?
Yes, I wasn't sure Harry Potter was something you were familiar about. But yeah, I'm a dementor.
Yes, so is everyone I work for.
Oh, great. This is going very well. What are your biggest strengths and weaknesses, please?
I have very few strengths that would be any use at all in this kind of environment. I'd say my biggest weakness, if you want to call it like that, is that I don't care.
And why did you leave your last job?
I wanted to move on and do other things.
Which means?
I was fired.
Oh, good. Well, I'll let you know, and by that I mean that I'm never gonna call you again, and I'm gonna leave you hanging for weeks.
Business as usual.
Oh, thank you so much. Pleasure to meet you.
Now, very fast, I will give you some advice from the expert, which is me. I never work. Make sure you know what the company does. For example, there is nothing more awkward than going and say you like their designs that they don't do. Never lie on your CV. Employers also do research, just as you do, so they might find out. Use relevant vocabulary and be clear. If you start with and you are stuttering just as I do, there is a high chance that you will never get the job, even if the CV was good. The first impression really matters. And after you get the job, you must show up on time. They can still fire you if you get the job. You can ask for your rights, because some employers think that young workers can be easily tricked. So if you feel like you're wronged, you can ask for your rights. And be ambitious. This is the best way to get a promotion and get your money.
Okay, so to end this session, I would like to ask you what, if you feel like you have learned something to get your first job, or not first job for some of you. And also if you have any recommendations for us, what we could change, so any kind of evaluation, what do you think?
Any answer?
Maybe I would put more dynamics into the presentation, so it's more kind of dynamic, which is,
The theoretical stuff,
yeah.
less theory, more.
It doesn't need to be less, it just needs to be given in a different way.
Okay.
In my opinion, a little bit too much didactic, like just presenting information in a didactic way.
Okay, thank you.
It was also the topic, so that because this was addressed more to people that haven't had jobs before. I mean, it's really good that are looking for the first job. I mean, I know that is not the case for most of you, but like this was kind of the public that we were aiming to. So we were thinking of
That's really good.
so not to make just activities, but also give them an idea about how to really work on the first CV. Yes.
So just my idea,
Yeah.
obviously,
Mhm.
is that you could take care that from the beginning. I mean, you knew that for someone that as an CV that it would be interesting also to get that kind of information.
Thank you, friend.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I like that you include the different kinds of activities so that you can reach more people with different learning styles and that there is always a variety and we are not like this.
Small role play, as if they had random job and more like people could feel like connected.
Thank you, that was great. So if there's nothing else you'd like to add, then I'd like to thank you for